Hey everyone, Travis here with the first episode of a weekly installment that I'm going to do where I talk to different pro players about a different position, especially the one that they play. And the first one is going to be support with Xpecial. Xpecial, thanks for joining me here.
Hi, Travis.
Yes. So let's talk about this. Start off with the obvious, which is the support champions that are most popular right now. So what are we mostly seeing in bot lane these days?
All right, it's a bit different. In solo queue, you see a lot of Lulu, you see a lot of, I guess, some Terex, maybe, I don't know. Just mainly those two champions are the most popular. And in competitive play, you see a lot more different picks. You see Lulu again, you see Terex again, and then you see a lot of Leona out of TSM, Snapdragon, and you see some Zyra, some Alistar, just a bunch of picks. Mainly the range champions are the most popular, but there's quite a few that are played nowadays.
So why do you think that those ones in particular are popular? Is there anything influencing it? Are we just looking for like tankier champions, or what's the big, or like CC champions? Like what's the big pull these days?
Seems to me that champions of high utility or high tankiness, or both, combination of both. And those are champions that are seen the most as supports. Because right now, you see a lot of assassins, and you see a lot of bursts coming out, and being tanky is really crucial, or being able to buff your teammates, that's also really crucial.
So Season 3 introduced a bunch of really cool support items. First off, are you finding a lot of use for all the new items that they've introduced?
And I wouldn't say there's a lot of use for every item, but you tend to see a lot of the same items over and over. You see a lot of bulwarks, Aegis, lockets. Those are pretty much the three most popular support items, and you still see a bunch of other ones, but generally those are the two you see them, or three you see the most.
Anything like Shirelias or any of those any love for those older items, or are we seeing a lot of just the newer stuff?
You still see those. Those are still options. They're not options that I like, mainly because the movement speed. What's the point of movement speed if you just run at each other and bash each other with I don't know, bats or something?
Yeah.
You just want to be tanky, and it's kind of my mentality with my item picks, and really just because of how our team likes to do their picks. Sometimes there are obviously situations for Reverie where you want to engage or you want to disengage, and those are nice items to have, but it's not something where, like in Season 2, you would build a Reverie every single damn game because it was the only support item.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about just the different things that players, or the different comps that we're seeing, right? So I know I've seen a lot of Taric MF. In fact, I think that's like Hop and Elements' favorite combo right now. What are some of the other support AD champions that we're seeing just in combination with each other?
Okay, so for Dignitas, you see a lot of Alistar Draven, Alistar, I don't know, like whatever strong AD, like Ezreal, yeah. And you see Leona, Ezreal, Leona, I mean, you saw Leona Tristana.
Right.
It's not really the AD that's really important right now, it's the support, and it's really whatever the team needs. And an AD right now, they're pretty much all similar. There's some strengths, some weaknesses, but you tend to pick whatever the AD is comfortable with.
Yeah. So, I know that when you mentioned all the different champions that are popular, we're not seeing a lot of Soraka or Janna or some of those other champions. Is that just because they lack the utility that something like Leona brings?
Well, Soraka is actually still strong. People still play her, but I don't think she's as strong now. Even though her auras are really, really nice for Season 3, her big problem is her weak early laning, and when you're constantly trying to push on towers and you're being really aggressive, Soraka doesn't have much to bring to the table for that. John, on the other hand, the big problem for her is just her cooldown, especially her ultimate, is just too long, and it just doesn't bring as much utility as, say, Lulu. I still think John is strong. I would play her against a Leona, for example. I think she's like a really strong pick against Leona. But my team is like, hey, we still play Leona and Taric. And I was like, okay, I was going to play Leona and Taric. And maybe some like Thresh, maybe some Alistar. Those champions I pretty much like gravitate to right now due to what my team needs.
Now, in the last couple of months, we've seen two new supports introduced. This is kind of uncommon because they're so rare these days, but let's talk about them. The first one being Nami, who I have just not seen at all. So why am I not seeing her?
Yeah, well, Nami is not really seen much just because she's hard to play and doesn't bring that much to the table. I'm actually really proficient with Nami. I have around 30 games of her and like a 60% win rate, which is pretty high when you're only playing a support. And in solo queue, she's actually really strong. Like people don't expect the amount of CC she has. But when you get into competitive play and you're going against good AD carries, they tend to cleanse your Q, they tend to dodge your Q. Like, playing against Vayne is probably my worst nightmare on Nami. She can dodge my Q in so many ways. It's just so frustrating. I hate playing Nami. But I feel like if they buff some of her other abilities, like her E, which is garbage, then she could be viable. Maybe lower the cooldown on her ultimate too. That's possible.
So if you were a live designer right now, maybe you were Skarzard or Classic or one of those guys, that's what you would do. You would try to change her E and maybe alter her ultimate a bit.
Yeah, I would. I would probably increase charges on her E depending on the level of it. Right now, there's no reason to max E until last because it sucks. I'll lower the cooldown by her ultimate a bit, and then I'll also delete Soraka from the game.
All right, all right. So you've yeah. I don't know if live designers have the ability to delete Soraka from the game. That might. I mean, that's a whole mess because then you have to refund RP or whatever. Maybe.
Nah, it's fine. It's only 450. People won't even remember her.
Yeah,
It's just like there should be a button in the client or for their whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm gonna drag Soraka into the trash bin,
Yeah.
and then you never see her again.
I think a lot of people would pick Teemo first. Would you pick Soraka over Teemo?
Okay, the reason why I hate Soraka so much is because how easy she is to play.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a brainless monkey and still play Soraka. No offense to any people who main Soraka. Like, I mean, but Soraka is so easy. There's no skill shots involved.
Yeah.
Everything is like W, E, and R. That's it.
Somewhere pure golden boy is just crying himself to sleep.
I mean, okay, just because you like Soraka, I mean, great. Just, I don't like Soraka. I don't want to play Soraka. And if my team wants me to play Soraka, I'm gonna call up Classic and tell them to like nerf the shit out of her.
Yeah, I guess make her unviable.
Please.
Let's talk about Thresh though, because we talked about Nami. Thresh is going to be available in the LCS next week. I've already heard rumors that he's going to be one of the most banned champions, and if he's not banned, he's going to be picked. So tell me why.
Why? Well, okay, so one of the most annoying champions when Season 3 started was Lee Sin. And basically, Thresh gives you Lee Sin's W that has 3 times the range. And if that's not annoying, I don't know what can be.
Yeah.
You have... Okay, so you're playing against an Ezreal Thresh, alright? You want to gank him, you send 5 people at the Ezreal. And okay, Ezreal goes from here, you just eat over here and flash, and then, oh look, he's got pulled all the way over back there. And it's just not something anyone wants to play against.
Right.
And just too much utility. But his late game is actually pretty bad because his ultimate, is probably one of the most useless ultimates I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Yes. So the AoE, 99% slow. Okay, cool. That's great. How about they just flash out of it? That's cool too. And the cooldown is longer than most support ultimates. And the utility it brings is next to 0 because nobody's going to run into your box.
Yeah.
Like, it's a zoning tool, but I'd rather just get like a Nibby Wall. If you give me a Nibby Wall for his ultimate, I'd be much happier.
So what about using it like a Morgana ult, right? Where you like charge in and pop it up in the middle of everyone?
Yeah, that's excellent. That's great, but only 2 sides of the box are going to hit him.
Yeah.
And so you hit 2 people for like 5 damage. Great. Excellent. I'm so excited to use Thresh.
You mentioned flashing out of it. Do you think that, I mean, it kind of reminds me of a Jarvan ultimate, and obviously there's been some issues with Jarvan ultimates in terms of people being able to get out of it. Do you think that that'll be a similar issue for Thresh?
Well, I mean, Jarvan ultimate actually does damage. That's, I mean, okay, so Thresh, like, some of his skills actually work well with his box. You can push people into it, you can knock people out of it, etc. But, I mean, they're just different champions. Jarvan has so much utility anyways, and his ultimate, I mean, at least you group people in there. Like, there's just different downsides.
Right.
And so.
What do you think of his Lantern ability? Because I think that's actually one of the most unique abilities there, and it's one of the first times where I've actually seen like a support do something where like the rest of the team has to respond. Do you think that that's a really unique thing, or do you think that that's not that good? What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, since it's like 2-3 times the range of Lee Sin Q, I mean W, it's pretty broken. But a general rule of thumb is that if something is unique, it's either broken or garbage.
Yeah.
And in this case, it seems to be broken. You're just giving an idiot extra escape, like, so broken.
Do you think it'll be hard for teams to be able to coordinate that? Because this is, again, in my mind, one of the first times we've seen an ability like this. Or do you think, like, after a couple of scrims, like, a team has it down?
Okay, well, in solo queue, first of all,
Yeah.
if you ever see me stream and you watch me play Thresh, I am literally yelling at my monitor for players to grab my damn lantern.
Yeah.
But in, like, an actual game, it's gonna be the same thing, except people are actually listening to me,
Right.
telling you to grab that damn lantern. So hopefully, as I'm yelling to them over Ventrilo, they will grab the lantern, and I will not have to yell anymore.
All right, so again, you're stamping, you stamp Nami with the underpowered, you're stamping Thresh with the overpowered. You're a live designer now. What do you do to resolve that?
Okay, first of all, lower the range of Thresh's lantern, and decrease the range of how far it can pull someone. Because right now, it's bigger than like the leash range of it, so it's a ginormous freaking dash, and it's not. There's no way it's not gonna get nerfed. Other than that, he really doesn't have that much going for him.
So it's just a lantern.
Yeah, it's really just a lantern giving too much utility. It makes it almost impossible to gank the AD. And you can kill a Thresh, but it's like almost impossible to gank the AD.
Are you concerned that if they nerf the lantern, if that's one of the only things he has going for him, that he might not be viable anymore? Or is it just like finding that sweet spot where it's going to be okay?
All right, well, I'm going to be Morello for a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, okay, we're going to take out power from Thresh's Dark Passage. And we're going to evaluate the strength of Thresh.
We really feel as though like there's just too much power in the lantern. Yeah,
there's too much power in the lantern. And we're going to put some of that power onto his Q, E, and R, and we'll evaluate Thresh afterwards.
Yeah. All right. So it's a case-by-case basis. It's a progress, a balance and progress kind of thing.
Yes, we felt that Thresh is a bit too powerful in competitive play, but isn't as strong in solo queue, and we're going to change some of the mechanics about him and decrease some of the power. Or something like that.
All right,
I mean, no offense, Morello. Please don't like ban me from LCS.
You know what? I think there's been enough comics about Morello now and comments that I feel as though Photoshops. I've seen some horrible things. I think he could probably stomach an impression. But let's sort of wrap things up with maybe a little bit of a newbie tip. Like I know that you love to put these out on Twitter or whatever, but let's say somebody is getting used to competitive play in League of Legends and they kind of want to start getting better and they feel as though support's like the role for them. So what are some just introductory tips that you feel, maybe even like easy champions for them to trade off with, besides Soraka, who apparently brainless APS, that you would recommend?
Okay, a champion specifically, I'm going to have to say Taric. He's very, very straightforward. I mean, he's not a hard champion to play. He has no skill shots, and he just brings a lot to the team. You can see him being one of the most popular supports in solo queue because of how easy he is to play and how effective he is. So if you're a first-time support player, just try out Taric, and you're just gonna be like, wow, this guy is really good.
Thanks so much for the interview.
Yeah, thank you, Travis.
For everyone watching, this has been Support with Xpecial. Wonderful, wonderful support. You can check out the rest of our LCS coverage and content at gamespot.com/esports.